$45,000. That's what 12 years of Sunday dinners and fixed gutters and property taxes came down to. The attorney was explaining something about pre-death transfers. I wasn't listening anymore. I was counting.
Ethan Mercer lost $595,000 to his own sister. She sold his mother's rental properties. She drained the retirement accounts. She moved everything into her own name while their mother forgot what year it was. Most people would have hired a lawyer. Most people would have fought back immediately. Ethan Mercer did neither. He called his sister and he said 3 words: "I forgive you." He didn't mean to. Frank Mercer spent 30 years as a plumber in Portland, Oregon. He wasn't the kind of man who talked about money, but he understood one thing about it. If you buy something that pays you rent every month, eventually you stop worrying. His first duplex was on Hawthorne Street. He bought it in 1989 for $63,000. By the time he died, it was worth $210,000. Linda taught 3rd grade for 30 years. Same school, same classroom. She knew every family in the neighborhood. When Frank bought the second duplex on Division Street in 1997, Linda kept the books, every rent check, every repair receipt, every tax filing. She didn't trust banks to.
I wasn't the interesting one. Meredith got the personality. I got the attention to detail. Dad used to say I'd make a good accountant. I became a teacher instead. But I still counted everything.
I was always closer to Mom. We'd go shopping, we'd talk on the phone for hours. Ethan would come over on Sundays, fix the gutters, check the tenants, look at the numbers. That was his version of love, showing up with a wrench.
Frank Mercer was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in the spring of 2016. He died 4 months later. He was 68. His estate was simple: 2 rental duplexes, a retirement account, and a will that said everything goes to Linda. If Linda was gone, 50-50 to the children.
After Dad died, I took over the properties, collected rent, handled repairs, paid the taxes every Sunday. It's what he would have done. Mom didn't ask me to. I just did it.
For the first year, the arrangement worked. Ethan managed the properties. Meredith called Linda every day, visited 3 times a week, took her to doctor's appointments. Between the 2 of them, Linda was cared for, and neither of them resented the other. Not yet.
Ethan handled the buildings, I handled Mom. It worked because we never talked about it. We never had to. That's what family is supposed to be. You just do your part.
I managed the Mercer's rental property finances for 20 years. Every quarter, like clockwork, Frank would bring me the receipts in a shoebox. After he died, Ethan brought them. Same shoebox, same schedule. So when the deposits from the Hawthorne duplex stopped in March 2018, I noticed. I called Ethan. He said Meredith was.
In January 2018, Linda forgot Frank's name for the first time. Meredith made a decision. She moved into her mother's house on Division Street. She said it was temporary. It wasn't.
I cooked for her, I drove her to every appointment, I sat with her when she woke up at 3 a.m., not knowing where she was. I was there, every single day. Ethan came on Sundays, he'd check the furnace, look at the gutters, and leave. That's not caregiving, that's maintenance.
In March 2018, Meredith obtained power of attorney over Linda's financial and medical decisions. The attorney who drafted it noted that Linda was oriented, but occasionally confused. It was the last legal document Linda would understand enough to sign. Meredith was now in control of everything. In May 2018, Meredith sold the Hawthorne Street duplex for $215,000. She told Ethan the building needed repairs they couldn't afford. The proceeds went into a joint account she shared with Linda, an account Ethan didn't know existed.
She told me the Hawthorne place had foundation issues. I'd inspected it 6 months earlier. The foundation was fine, but I was busy teaching, and she was the one with the real estate license. I trusted her judgment. That was my mistake.
In July 2018, Meredith transferred the title of the Division Street duplex, the one she was living in, to her own name. The paperwork described it as an estate planning measure to avoid probate. Linda's signature was on the document. Whether Linda understood what she was signing is a question that would take 7 years to answer.
I put the house in my name because I was paying the mortgage. I was living there. I was taking care of Mom in that house. Ethan wasn't paying anything. He wasn't there. Why should someone who shows up with a wrench on Sundays have equal say over a property he doesn't even live in?
By fall 2018, Ethan's Sunday visits had become shorter. Meredith always had a reason. Mom's having a bad day. The doctor changed her medication. She just fell asleep, maybe next week. Ethan stopped arguing. He'd sit in his car outside the house for 10 minutes, then drive home.
I should have fought harder to see her, I know that now, but Meredith was the one who was there. She was the one holding Mom's hand while I was grading papers. What right did I have to demand anything?
Linda Mercer died on November 12, 2019. She was 75. She died in the house on Division Street, the house that was no longer in her name. Meredith was there. Ethan arrived 20 minutes later. He held his mother's hand. It was already cold. What Meredith Mercer didn't know, what she wouldn't know for 7 more years, is that on the day Ethan walked out of that attorney's office with $45,000, he didn't go home. He drove to the Portland Central Library, sat at a public computer terminal, and typed 5 words into the search bar: Oregon Elder Financial Abuse Statute. He was there for 3 hours. And when he finally left, he called his sister and told her he forgave her. It was the first lie of 7.
I called her on a Wednesday evening. She picked up on the first ring. I could tell she was nervous. I said, Meredith, I've been thinking about everything. About Mom. About the properties. And I just want you to know, I forgive you. You did what you thought was right. Let's move forward. She cried. She said, thank you, Ethan.
Oregon's Elder Financial Abuse Statute allows civil action against anyone who exploits a vulnerable person for financial gain. The statute of limitations is 6 years, but the clock can be paused if the plaintiff proves the defendant concealed the exploitation. Ethan spent 2 years reading case law, not at a law firm.
After the estate was settled, Ethan was different. Quieter, but not angry. We had Thanksgiving together that year. He brought wine, he helped with the dishes. I thought, finally, we can be a family again.
They had Thanksgiving together every year for 7 years. Ethan brought wine every time. He smiled, he asked about Meredith's work, he played with her children, and He updated a folder on his laptop that Meredith never saw.
Ethan called me in 2022 and asked if I'd like to have coffee. I said sure. We talked about Frank, about Linda, about the old days. He didn't mention the inheritance, not once. But he did ask me one question. Janet, do you still have the quarterly reports from 2017 and 20...
In year 5, Meredith made the mistake that Ethan had been waiting for. She refinanced the Division Street duplex, the one she'd transferred to her name, and used the equity to purchase a third property. She was now leveraged. Every dollar she owned was tied to real estate she'd built on stolen money, and she told everyone about it.
By 2024, I had 3 rental properties. I was making more than I ever had as an agent. People in my office asked how I built my portfolio so fast. I said, family property, smart reinvestment. And that was true. It just wasn't the whole truth.
In November 2025, Ethan Mercer walked into the office of an elder abuse attorney in downtown Portland. He carried a folder that was 4 inches thick. Bank records, transfer documents, notarized statements, public records, and 7 years of notes.
The attorney looked at everything for about an hour. Then he looked at me and said, "Mr. Mercer, how long have you been building this?" I said, 7 years. He said, "This is the most documented case I've ever seen." I said, "That was the point."
The lawsuit was filed in January 2026, civil action under Oregon's Elder Financial Abuse Statute. The complaint listed every transfer, every signature, every dollar that moved from Linda Mercer's accounts to Meredith's. 7 years of evidence compressed into 42 pages.
I was showing a house on a Tuesday morning. My phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. I answered, and a woman said, "Miss Mercer, you have been served." I didn't understand at first. Then I opened the envelope, and I saw my brother's name.
Meredith called Ethan 17 times that day. He didn't answer. She left one voicemail. "Ethan, what is this? I thought we were past this. I thought you forgave me." She never got a response.
I showed the court every quarterly report from 2017 and 2018. The deposits that stopped, the accounts that were redirected, the property transfer that happened while Linda couldn't remember her own birthday. It wasn't complicated. The money was there, and then it wasn't. And it all went to the same place.
The court found Meredith Mercer guilty of financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. She was ordered to pay $380,000 in restitution, plus $85,000 in damages. Total, $465,000. She didn't have it. Not in cash. The only... Meredith Mercer sold all 3 properties within 4 months. 4 sales brought less than market value. After restitution, damages, and legal fees, she was left with nothing. The Oregon Real Estate Agency opened an ethics investigation. Her license was suspended. The career she'd built on stolen capital collapsed in 11 weeks. Ethan Mercer received $465,000 minus $95,000 in legal fees. Net $370,000. His original 50% share of Linda's estate would have been $320,000. He got more than he was ever owed. It took 7 years. But the math worked.
People ask me if it was worth it. I don't know how to answer that. I got the money, I got justice. But I spent 7 years pretending. 7 years of smiling at someone I was going to destroy. You don't do that and come out the same person.
He sat at my Thanksgiving table for 7 years. 7 years. He bought my kids birthday presents. He hugged me at Christmas. He told me we were okay. And the entire time, he was building a case to take everything from me. Not one moment of those 7 years was real. Not 1 second.
Everything she did to Mom wasn't real either. She hugged Mom, she told Mom she loved her, she cooked for her and drove her to the doctor, and while she did all of that, she was stealing everything Mom had. I did the same thing back. The only difference is that I waited longer.
Ethan and Meredith Mercer have not spoken since the verdict. That was 3 months ago. Ethan still teaches history at the same high school. He still lives in the same apartment. The $370,000 sits in a savings account he hasn't touched. When asked what he plans to do with it, he said, "I haven't decided yet. I spent so long getting it back, I forgot to think about what comes after."
I've known the Mercer family for 20 years. I watched Frank build those duplexes one repair at a time. I watched Linda file every receipt in that shoebox. This was a family that worked. Not loudly, not dramatically. They just worked. Meredith stole from her mother. That's not opinion. That's not interpretation. The court proved it with documents she signed herself. She took advantage. But what Ethan did, I've been thinking about it for months, and I still don't have the right word for it. It wasn't revenge. Revenge is hot. Revenge is immediate. This was cold. This was architecture. He spent 7 years performing forgiveness. 7 Thanksgivings. 7 Christmases. He watched Meredith relax. He watched her build a life on stolen money, and he let her. Because every year she built higher, the fall would be worse. Here's what I keep coming back to. Meredith stole from someone who couldn't defend herself. Ethan waited until Meredith couldn't defend herself either. She was leveraged, exposed, and completely unprepared. The method was different. The patience was different. But the cruelty, the willingness to perform love while planning destruction was the same.
Next week, on After the Will, 3 siblings split their father's estate, equal thirds, fair and simple. Until a woman none of them had ever met walked into the attorney's office with a birth certificate, a DNA test, and a claim to everything. Their father had a daughter they never knew existed, and she'd been waiting her whole life for this moment.